Back on the block with Business Morning live from Channel's global headquarters. Welcome everyone to the program. It's Wednesday, the 28th of November. So let's bring you up to speed what's making the news as we get today's business and markets underway. I am Bosin Omofaye. Nigeria's Statistics Office has revised third quarter GDP report release upwards to Friday, November the 22nd. The previous date on the NBS calendar of data releases was Monday the 25th. That has been brought forward to this Friday. So you expect us to have a very heavy Friday on the economic side. Nigeria's state of the economy for the months of August, September, and July, August, and September. Yes, that's the Q3 GDP numbers will be out. We're just in the final, middle of the final quarter of the year. So third quarter GDP is what we're going to have, and that's what will take us into the new year. You need to focus on that. That GDP numbers is coming on Friday, just as the central bank is sitting for its final meeting for the year on Monday and Tuesday, November 25th and 26th. We already have inflation in the kitty. So all of this we're putting in our box as we have an exciting days ahead between now and later next week. Meantime, the House of Reps yesterday boycotted the Senate's committee's public hearing on President Buhari's finance bill, which he presented alongside a new year budget to the joint legislative house or House of Legislature last month. The Senate, however, went ahead to hold the hearing on the finance bill. Their House of Reps members, their colleagues, says they were not carried along and they got a late notice of that public hearing, so they decided not to be part of it. One of the big stories that we told you is happening for the second half of the month of November is starting today. Bloomberg's three-day New Economy Forum starts today in Beijing, China, with top Nigerians such as Aliko Dangote, the billionaire businessman, and former Minister of Finance Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who are members of the Advisory Council, and they will be speaking at these events. Thousands of delegates around the world, including top U.S. economic officials as well as others around the world, are meeting together for the second edition of the Bloomberg New Economy Forum. Also attending this meeting is Channel's Media Group Chairman, Dr. John Momo. He's moderating a panel on China's Belt and Road Initiative within the context of Africa's infrastructure and economic development. John Momo will be putting his panelists to task on what China's Belt and Road Initiative means for Africa as the continent begin to look forward to a ramp up on infrastructure and economic development. Mr. Momo is attending this event alongside Channel's Media Group Vice Chairman, Mrs. Shola Momo. You want to take a look at that. We have all of that coming through in our Business and Markets Week from the Bloomberg New Economic Forum in Beijing. Meantime, the NNPC Group Chief Mele Kyari says Nigeria will conduct all licensing round for ultra-deep water oil assets in 2020. This unexplored oil area will be opened to international oil firms who will be bidding for this, just as President Buhari also signed off on the new bill that will make Nigeria earn more from its production sharing agreement with the international oil firms. Okay, that's about all on that. But also in the news is what we have. As we told you earlier, the Central Bank of Nigeria is sitting for a final time. The Monetary Policy Committee meeting will be taking place Monday, the 25th and 26th. That's next week. That's a very crucial meeting. A lot of economic data on the table. So we've got the governor of the Central Bank, Godwin Emefiele, in an exclusive interview with our Maokwe Ogun Yusuf in a program called Hard Copy. So what did Mr. Emefiele have to say regarding the Nigeria's FX markets and the liberalization of the system since the recessions of 2015 and 2016? Take a listen of that program sneak preview.
Inflation goes up from 11.22 to 11.61 between September and October, and that mainly is because of border closure. And I'm saying, okay, I am not going to entirely disagree that yes, because of border closure that has resulted in some supply shortages, right? A drop in supply because of goods that were being smuggled or dumped into the country. But I also look at it from another side. Who are those who are benefiting? In as much as I do not like the fact that prices went up momentarily by 0.3% between September and October, the beneficiaries are Nigerians, right? And the beneficiaries are Nigerian companies, right? Where we've seen a situation where people now have jobs, right? Farmers who produce, for instance, rice, or who produce poultry, or even those who even legitimately import cars into the country are those that are benefiting from it. So what am I saying in essence? In as much as I do not like the fact that the inflationary pressures are coming up right now, but I'm also saying that it will moderate and very, very quickly. And I'm saying lag period, maximum, another 3 to 4 months, the inflation will moderate and aggressively downwards. Central bank, as a result of the crisis we saw in 2015 and 16, sort of liberalized the foreign exchange market outside the CBN window, right? And that is what we call the investors and the exporters window. And that market currently operates at between 357, 360, 361, and 362. And that is a dominant market, right, today. What we have also done is that the truth is that there is really no 305 transaction. Most of the transactions that happen today, the 305 is like a budget rate, but the other rate that you'll be talking about is at a rate higher, closer to about 330, okay, which is the rate at which CBN sells dollars to corporates, those who are importing raw materials, those who are importing some of the items that we think we cannot produce in the country. The prices range between 330 to about 350. And of course, they also come at other spot and forward rates, such that by the time you look at the implications of delivering 330 to you in 180 days or in about 210 days, the price is effectively closer to about 350 to 360, which is the ultimate price of the market. So exchange rate, really, when you talk about disparity, people talk about disparity in terms of what is the price of foreign exchange at the black market compared to the price of foreign exchange at the official market. And because I say today, you go to the BDCs, you go to the non-bank sources, you can find dollar at about 359, 360. And at the bank sources, what I call the other bank or interbank sources, you can also find foreign exchange at about between 359 and 360. So we say that these two markets are substantially converged.
A more comprehensive conversation with the Central Bank Governor, Godwin Emefiele, with Maupe Ogun-Yusuf on hard copy here on Channels Television this Friday, 8:30 in the evening. You don't want to miss that. Okay, so let's talk about the stock market. Still a roller coaster on the back of the central bank directive, the treasury bills markets. We saw yesterday short-dated NTB down to below 7 or below 8%. That's one big story. Stock market still holding it there, but some analysts are asking if this would, how long will it last? If this is a single issue. Bit of that, we'll have that conversation with Temple Ashaju, but let's get him to talk to us for a few minutes, recapping Tuesday's trading day for us. Temple Ashaju from the Nigerian Stock Exchange studios down there. Temple, business correspondent. It's good to see you on the floor. Temple, this is about 0.2% for the market. Do you think, are you hearing that this rally that the stock market is taking from the fixed income market or the treasury bills market would last a little bit longer than everyone thought or think it will happen?
Certainly will, Bosin. I mean, where do you want to? Where's the outlets to put the money in at this point? Nowhere. So that's why before now we've been seeing some interest in the bond space. Again, you saw how a lot of the players cherry picked on that side of the market, and then we saw that yesterday there was a bit of decline, on that bond space because again we know that the primary market auction is coming up today. So folks were selling down yesterday and to hold on to some of the profits that they will get yesterday, so they can actually do a little bit on the bond side of things. And once that bond primary market option is over today, you'll see them bringing the rest of whatever gains they made from the secondary market yesterday back to the equity space here. Equities is where the deal is. The reason why we've been seeing a pullback, a little bit of pullback in the equity space is because of profit taking. The fact that that will also lead to some kind of price correction at the end of the day. So by the time things simmer, you see that the prices go up again. I give you a cool example here. Axis Bank touched 11 naira sometimes Friday last week, and then it was deflated down to 9 naira 20 kobo. Then market opened on Monday, and then we saw it at 9 naira 20 kobo for some time, and then it went back on Tuesday to 9 naira 60 kobo. Yesterday when market opened, actually went lower than 60 kobo, but then again it went higher again. So you're going to see this sort of correction for some time. The prices of these companies, as they continue to appreciate, will depreciate a little bit and hover around a particular number for a while. It is the characteristics of the stock market, and it is something that we'll continue to see till these companies' share prices continue to rise and rise further to a level where it becomes higher, way higher than what they were before.
Yes, I agree with you, Temple, on that score, because again, as long as you don't have this precipitous decline, as it were, in equity prices, folks don't really mind. T+1, T whatever, if you get in on Monday, you can get out of the stock market before Friday. So it's good for investors. As soon as you have this gentle oscillation, as it were, on a daily basis, folks don't really mind. But this very sharp, steady decline is what get guys to get really scared of in the first place. Now that we have this little oscillation here and there, what do you call it? So folks, I'm sure investors can manage that. They can take that in the stride. That's what the market is all about.
Exactly. Correct, Bosun. I mean, that's what the market is all about. That's what we'll continue to see, as I said earlier. So we can't change it. It is a necessary evil in the market. If you play well in the stock market, I mean, that's what you grapple with. Somebody was telling me the other day how he wanted to actually buy a car for his wife, put 1 million naira in the market, sometimes on a particular company. I shouldn't mention that, but then the price went way low, all the way from 13 naira down to 4 naira, 5 naira. And so now that it is 7 naira, hinted that, look, the price of this particular stock is now 7 naira plus, and it's gravitating towards 8 naira, 9 naira. He was shocked at that, so he quickly went back to check the price, and it has actually turned to some appreciation. It's the way the market moves, and that's what we'll continue to see till the correction simmers, and then it increases again. Then you see a little bit of correction. It's the market behavior, the way the market
is. Yes, let's find out, Temple, if the wife gets that nice car, again, that will be, you can just have the NSC as a plate number if that money is made out of the stock market. You can just have NSC, whatever. Let's call it NSC, whatever. I'm sure Oscar Onyema and the rest of the team at the stock exchange will be proud to have an NSC on a plate number and said, yes, this car was made from selling stocks on the market. That would be quite interesting. At least get that for 2019. That would be great. So get in charge. If she gets the car, the husband gets the car from selling down the stocks, yeah, let's give that to the market. Where's the rest of the market, please? You're talking about treasuries earlier. Touch base with the NESD over the counter for us quickly, Temple, in this conversation.
Okay, great. So yesterday, there was basically nothing to celebrate at the NASD O2C. The fact that we saw some 0.15% decline on that side of the market. NSI actually still continues to hover around 713.12 points, specifically. A couple of movements yesterday. I think some 6 to 7 companies or thereabout actually moved on that side of the market yesterday specifically. But they actually didn't, they traded, I should say. They didn't move. Only one of them actually moved, and it moved negatively. That was Union Bank Properties, which was down by 1.49%, and actually contributed more to the decline that we saw in the indices of that company. But I should also add that today, Afriland Properties, one of the active companies on that market, is actually going to be having a conference call with analysts, with a few journalists, and be discussing the parameters surrounding its performance and all of that, and what their plans are going forward, what they intend to do in terms of acquisition of more properties and all of that in the country. So that will happen today with some analysts, and it's something that I'm sure that investors and, of course, these analysts will be able to push out some information on subsequently, Bosun.
With the treasury bills, and I'm sure a lot of conversation. Just touch that. Recap yesterday's treasuries market for us quickly, Tempo.
Great. So let's do the treasury bills you actually mentioned, Bosun. Let's go by your order there. The treasury bills market actually continues to trade on a mixed note. We know that there was a little bit of buy sentiment yesterday on that side of the market. If you look at the 16th of April 2020 security, which is at the mid end of the curve there, that was up we saw some transactions of some 2.65 billion naira. That's something that is not common at this point in time with that part of the market. Again, it is because we've seen some foreign investors now, releasing some supply into the market, and some investors are able to, grab all of that to actually buy. In spite of that release from the foreign investors yesterday, yields were basically still less than 8%, as we talked about earlier, Bosun. But we saw, a little bit of increase on the average side, some 2 basis points across the benchmark yield curve. However, if you look at the OMO maturities, you see the 2nd of January 2020, which is at the short end of the curve. You see 26th of December 2019 security, and of course 9th of January 2020. All of these are the short end of the curve. That was the major side end of the curve where foreign investors actually sold off yesterday. The December to January securities side of things they represent the short end of the curve, and that was where we saw some sell yesterday. Let me quickly take us back to the energy side of the markets and the stock markets before we run out of time. Something done by Vertiva Capital Asset Management yesterday is actually quite impressive, because if you look at the sectoral performance of the market yesterday, we saw a bit of positive performance on the oil and gas side of things, and of course the movement we saw on corn oil, which was up some 9.74% yesterday, quite impressive, because again some investors analysts did valuation, and they realized that the counter actually opened some 1.65% above its year low price of 15 naira 40 kobo. Something impressive is happening there. 35.34% below its year high price, which was 23 naira 80 kobo. So that now led to some kind of buy interest on corn oil yesterday. And on the year-to-date scale now, corn oil has lost some 27.31% of its value. They did valuation as well about O&O. O&O, we understand that it has depreciated year-to-date by some 28%. And Seplat, in spite of all the goods that are happening on that side of things, has depreciated some 14.11%, while Mobile, which is now 11 PLC at 147 naira 90 kobo, but on changes today, has depreciated some 20.27% specifically. So investors might want to do more valuations on all of these and be able to see if they can actually bet on all of these energy stocks, Bosun.
Yeah, very interesting when you have research data trying to get everyone to understand what's happening to these stocks. But very good one there, bringing that into perspectives and viewers to understand where all of this is coming from and what is going. We all look forward to seeing some of the numbers from these oil and gas stocks. But again, coming to where the big story will be for everyone, Temple, is about the treasury bills market, as you put it on there. Now we saw 9%, 8%. Now we're seeing about 7% around for the yield curve for NTB. That would be a major story. A negative interest rate environment is where we're heading into now. Inflation is 11.61%. So for treasury bills, that's a lot of story. We have maturity coming this before the end of the year. We saw hundreds of billions of naira coming through. It's going to be an interesting playbook when everyone will sit down on Monday, Tuesday, listening to the central bank, getting what the direction will be for the rest of the year, and if there's anything they can take away from the communique of the MPC on Tuesday the 26th and use that as a field glasses, get a sense of what will happen next year. Thank you so much, Temple. See you later on the program, giving us opening calls on the equity side. Break, everyone. We'll be back talking about the banking industry and the state of the economy.